to Changing the Sales Game on webtalkradio.com. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. You know that my guest and I are excited that you're here with us today. Now, as you listen to the show, here's the deal, guys. When we talk about sales at the core, it's all about communication skills. So in the show notes is my free gift to you, which is my communication style assessment. You will get it's a quick quiz, guys. Takes you like 10 minutes. You'll get 2 reports. One spotlights your natural communication superpowers. Important to know, how is your message landing? On the flip side, you'll have a lowest score, which is typically when you communicate with people who communicate 180 degrees different than you. That is the more important report because it will spotlight a blind spot that you potentially have. Again, link is in the show notes. Take the quiz, get the reports, and hopefully it helps you navigate changing your sales game. Now, my motivational quote today, oh my gosh, is by the dear Zig Ziglar. And his quote says, your attitude, not aptitude, will determine your altitude. Now, in college, I had this huge paper to write for one of my business classes. I don't remember which one it was, but as part of the research, I went to the library. We didn't have computers back then. And I actually read a Zig Ziglar book. And I have to tell you, my life was changed forever. His brilliant approach to business and sales and life was all I needed to know. And I felt like I was in the right place, having going for a business degree, specifically in finance. Now, it's funny how those pivotal moments are so clear for that, what our next path or our next step moving forward. Now, I've always been curious and interested in learning about others and their professional journey and find inspiration in hearing those stories. That's why I love doing the show, because I get to interview and learn from so many experts, like my expert today. So who is this expert I speak of? His name is Jay, and I want to make sure I say his name right. So it's Abdulaziz. Jay has I got it right. Jay has over 2 decades of invaluable experience in the insurance and call center industry. Jay excels in call center setup as a business success consultant, optimizing existing operations for increased profitability and helping field agents thrive. Now, born to immigrant parents and attending a different school yearly, oh my gosh, I can't imagine, Jay had to find his own way. During his high school days, Jay worked in a telemarketing company from 4 to 10 p.m. doing vacation sales and transitioned into health insurance phone sales after high school. Now, since 2011, he's helped scale 10 businesses and generated over 120 million in commissions and over 300 million in insurance premiums. Jay and his stories have been featured on NBC with one of the original sharks on Shark Tank, Kevin Harrigan. So please help me welcome my cool guest, Jay, to the show. So Jay, thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me. Very excited to be here. Love your energy. Excited for this conversation.
Yeah, me too. And dude, look, we're talking about financial sales. Like, sign me up every day. You know, that's my jam for 40 years. So first thing, Jay, share with us, what is your background? And again, we kind of alluded to that in the bio, but that early experience that influenced your journey into insurance and, you know, any financial challenges maybe you faced during that period?
Yeah. So early on, very early on, again, like you said, I'm born to immigrant parents. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. My dad, he was working different jobs, and very hard worker, working from 6 a.m., sometimes not coming home till 11 p.m. So I kind of saw his struggle, and he was working at Subway at the time, and I was doing the same thing on the weekends. So I started working at Subway on the weekends, started to bring home, a paycheck, was very excited early on, but I got pretty bored of it very fast. So one day I was just looking in the newspaper and I saw an ad that said, make $1,000 a week. And I'm like, a red flag went up, and I'm like, it's in the newspaper. There must be some truth to it. Let me go find out. So anyway, I did an interview, and lucky enough for me, this was a job that was 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Correlated perfectly with my school schedule. I got out of school around 3:30. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to do at home? Let me try this out. And lucky for me that this really eased me into sales. So the first job I ever had, selling vacations, we weren't actually selling anything. We were actually having people drive from the Tri-County area, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. We were having them drive to Atlantic City to take a 90-minute presentation for timeshares. And they would go there and go pick up a free gift, 2 free airline tickets, a free hotel stay. They had a bunch of blackout dates, but it didn't matter because it was free. So a lot of these people would take that drive down there, and our job was to set the appointment. And if the people showed up, we would get paid. So anyway, I did that for a little bit. And what was really nice is what I learned early on is that I was making more money than I ever made, but I was sitting alongside people that were feeding their families. And I'm here, in high school, making the same kind of money that they're making, feeding their families. So, it was very early on that I got hooked. And long story short, I moved on to vacation sales, where we were actually now selling vacation packages. I worked my way up to assistant manager, then manager. A couple of years later, my manager had left and started working at an insurance agency. So I first entered an insurance agency, when I was 19 years old. I just got done with high school. Now I'm doing this full time, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., selling insurance and going to college at the same time. I was doing some night classes. Dropped that, I stopped that pretty fast. So anyway, I right from there, I started to climb the ladder, went from assistant manager to manager in the insurance world, climbed my way up to director of operations. And then in 2010, I started my first agency with my first, the owner of the company being my first investor. So, started our first agency, and then the rest is history. So now fast forward till now, I've done $350 million in insurance premium, $120 million in commissions. I've helped scale 12 businesses, a lot of them in the insurance space, all different things, lead companies, insurance, health, life, Medicare, ACA. So just all different, but same kind of businesses.
Yeah. And it's interesting, Jay. See, and this is why I love doing the show, because I love hearing the journey, right? Because there's inspiration in that everybody, first of all, hard work, right? You showed up, you figured it out, you trial and error, you try different things, right? We're not always lucky the first time out that you go, oh, this is it. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, especially as a 19-year-old. But all of those connectivities of the skills that you developed and how you parlayed that into what you're doing now. So that I love the story, right? The inspiration. And the other thing too is observationally watching your dad work these, exorbitantly long hours and thinking, oh, like, I don't want to do that. Like, that's just not what I want to do the rest of my life. So sometimes knowing what we don't want to do can lead us forward to find out what we should be doing, right? So I think all of that perspective for you as a young man was extremely helpful. So here's my next question. Tell us more about the challenges and those lessons that you learned as you started to kind of reiterate the skills as you were moving up corporate ladder, trying this, trying that, right? What were some of the biggest lessons learned and maybe the challenges that you faced that probably gave you the lessons that you needed to get you to the next place, right? Through challenge comes opportunity, right?
Absolutely. And, one of the biggest things that I would say that I had a challenge with early on was money management, right? I didn't come from money. I didn't understand the language of money. I didn't understand how to manage my money. Thankfully, the partner that I had was the investor that I had came from owning an agency already. And the partner that he brought on for us is my best friend today, is one of my best friends today. And, he really helped me, but between the both of them really helped me understand how to manage the money. Early on, I think I was investing way too much of their money into areas that really didn't, marketing is a big black hole. And I was just taking money. I was kind of overspending in different areas. And it took me some time. It took me some time to budget things out, to learn. And then I started applying those things in my household. Same thing, early on, I was young. I think my first time that I went to Las Vegas, I was 17 years old. I was using one of my cousin's IDs to, go around and gamble. And I just remember I went there with, I think, a total of I had a total of $3,000 in savings, and I went there with $3,000, and I blew it all within 7 days.
Oh,
And my first time gambling. So money management was never my strong suit early on. It's probably one of my strongest suits today.
yeah. From the evils of no budget and three, like I just went into hives, Jay, when you said like $3,000. Holy moly, right? Here's the thing. That was such an important lesson. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now and paying it forward, right? Helping other people not only make money, but understanding money and saving money and all those other things that we need for a future, right? You can't earn and save you can't save and spend at the same time. So
Very,
that
very
to me
cheap
was,
lesson.
yeah, a very good lesson, my friend.
Very
For
cheap
sure.
lesson.
Jay, I'm so curious. What were you like growing up?
So I was never an A student. Maybe in elementary school, but I was always like a C student, D student. And I think the way that I was wired, and now I kind of know this about myself, that I got bored of things pretty fast. And it's like, all right, what's new? What else can I learn? How else can I grow? And some of it is, on our school systems to blame. But a lot of it is just me, my attention, my focus, wasn't really on, learning science and history. It was more about, okay, like, what can I learn? Like math was very, I love math. I loved reading and putting things together, but everything else, all the, other things didn't really interest me much. And I was always looking for the next thing. So, early on working at Subway, it was like, all right, I'm bored of this within a week. What do I do now? Even early on, even younger, new toys, new gaming systems. I was bored of everything pretty quickly. So I'm always on to the new thing, on to the next thing. So even when I started my first agency, it was like, all right, this is nice, but what's next? How can I grow this? How can we get into other verticals? And my personality hasn't changed. It's still the same today. So that's one of the early on, growing up. I was also an athlete. So I played football growing up. So I think the recipe of always wanting more and what's next, combined with, the discipline of, playing a team sport and working well with team members, and just the mentality of a coach telling you, yeah, I don't care. You need to, like, we need to see you perform. I don't care how you feel. You need to perform. Yeah. That translates to sales pretty well as well. So just that recipe was really good for sales for me. And, I think that really helped shape just my entire career.
Yeah, and it's interesting. My kids played hockey growing up and even into college. And I'm sorry, the life skills they gained were insurmountable and helping them now in their careers, because teamwork is important. Understanding that communication is critical, right? What you're thinking, we have to articulate it clearly. So the other, like my communication style assessment, so they receive the message. Well, that's important, when you're building your career, and in your case, talking to clients that you want to make a sale. The other thing you said is your level of curiosity and desire to learn. But here's the key thing. You said when that the agency, the investor brought on the partner to help you were asking questions and learning and watching and applying as you went along. So not only are you learning, and this is why I love this show too, Jay. I tell people, you hear Jay talk, you hear Connie talk. Okay, great. You gained whatever information from this conversation. What are you doing with it now? Information's a beautiful thing. If you do nothing with it, you kind of stagnate. So not only were you in learning mode, reading mode, but you were applying constantly. And I think that was the trajectory. Plus, like you said, having the sports, right, foundationally, where you were accountable, that your coach held you accountable. In life, we have to be accountable. In this case, you have a family or whatever that needs you from a support function, but we have to be accountable. So here's my last thing I want to comment on this before I ask my next question. So your mom, she had a lot of patience, huh?
Oh, you have no idea. So my mom, she grew up with 3 brothers. And then she had 3 sons and my dad.
Oh, my goodness.
No women around. You've just got troublemakers after troublemakers. And, you know, thankfully I didn't put her through too much trouble, but enough trouble to drive her a little nuts between the three of us.
After the show, call your mom and say, Mom, thanks for being such a great mom and tolerating me.
Yeah. Going back to the accountability, you know, nowadays, you know, it's pretty sad, but everybody, you know, all the kids are getting participation trophies and everyone's so sensitive. But back in our day, like when I was playing sports, you know, like it was interesting. Like if you showed up late, you're running laps, you know, you're accountable for everything that you do. You're in the game, you make bad moves, you're getting on the bench. You know, there is no participation trophy. You only get a trophy if you win. You know, you only get trophies if you perform, if you have stats. And you know, and that made you want to hit those stats, right? Now everyone's just about, you know, it's okay, you tried, here's a trophy, you're all winners. Doesn't work like that. Now, you know, I feel bad for the next generation getting into sales, because guess what? You don't write a sale, you don't eat, you know, you eat what you kill. So when you get participation trophies growing up, and then you expect to just make money, you know, in a sales job, and you know, it's not going to mesh well. So I think that those lessons early on did pretty well for me. And my dad was pretty strict. My dad was almost like military style strict. You know, if I got in trouble in school, it was my fault. And you know, back home in Pakistan, I mean, I did 3rd grade and 5th grade there. They don't screw around. They beat you. And so there, you know, there's times where I had to take a beating from my teacher, and then my dad and my mom, like they triple teamed me. You know, there was no, you know, you can't talk back to these teachers, and you just had to get your act together.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think you know, just that the way that I was wired, along with those lessons, really shaped my sales career.
Yeah.
And it's very important to have that mindset.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, Jay, with what you just said? I mean, I'm sorry that, you know, the teachers back in the day, I went to Catholic school, and they would hit us, you know, on our knuckles with the yardstick. You get what I'm saying? I mean, they didn't beat us like what you're describing, but we were held accountable. And if I went home and said the nun did this, my mom would say, "What'd you do wrong?" So it was that's the accountability. And I totally appreciate that, because we have to, but here's the thing. In life, you have to hold yourself accountable. What is the next thing you want to earn, or how do you want to develop? And if you're not growing, you're dying. And that to me is very dangerous, right? So again, we go back to your curiosity. I think humans, we have to be curious to learn, to amp up and compete with ourselves. You don't have to compete with anybody else, but compete with yourself. Are you better today than you were yesterday? And then that needle moves forward. I want to go back to the insurance industry, because I grew up in the insurance industry. You know, again, it was 40 years ago when I started my career, but it's so complicated now with Medicare, Medicaid, and all of these pieces that I feel like the elders, right, that are trying to understand that environment, unless you have someone to decipher for you at home, we really need people like you who understand that industry, that business, the nuts and bolts of it, and then communicate that to this end user. And I believe that because of your level of respect, because of the way you were raised with mom and dad, right? And in your country where you initially grew up, there's this level of respect. So I think you have that, your curiosity to learn, and then your understanding of, whoa, I have to teach that pathway to, in this case, the client. So they buy from you, right? There's a process in there. But that level of empathy and care, I think, is so needed with insurance. Share with us some of the insights on that you've seen in recent trends, current events, or big acquisitions impacting, you know, the landscape, at least the insurance landscape here in the United States, because that's really where you're focused, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and you're right. It absolutely is very confusing. And, you know, it's funny because we sell health insurance and life insurance and you know, Medicare in some cases. And a lot of people will say, hey, can you tell me about my auto insurance? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know anything about the auto insurance. Really? Don't you sell insurance? Yes. But every insurance is, even though the conceptually it's all the same, risk versus premium, it's all completely different. And understanding the general concept of insurance isn't enough to really understand, what kind of clauses are in your policy, So what we do is take a topic that's extremely complicated and we simplify it for people. So, just to give you kind of an example, you asked what are some of the major acquisitions that have kind of changed the industry, and these are ever-changing things. But, I'll give you an example. Not too long ago, Biden passed a law where, people that are making a certain income, less than 50,000 usually, can get insurance for $0, health insurance. They have to be able to qualify. And, what we do is we make something that's very complicated, break it down to its simplest form, and we are able to first pre-qualify people, right? So if they make too little money, if they make too much money, we kind of let them know where they're at. And then we're able to tell them, hey, how we can help them, right? And thankfully, like, technology's really helped us. It's come a long way.
Yeah.
So at this point, we've built enough technology, we've customized enough things to where we're able to take someone's information, such as their zip code, their pre-existing conditions, their income, just different things, and enter it into a database, and it'll spit out different quotes for us. And almost instantaneously, we're able to tell them exactly what they qualify for. Now, a lot of these plans are very similar, just have different bells and whistles. And we're able to just explain to people exactly which carrier. We want to make sure that they have their doctors are in network, make sure their hospitals are in network, that if they have any medications they take, those medications are covered. And we're able to simply tell them, hey, look, we've got this, and this option. We feel like because this is a better plan or has a better rating, this is going to be best for you. It looks like your doctors take them as well. So we're able to find people plans pretty immediately. But as these laws change, income levels change, and as, things within the industry and laws just, as things change, we have to adapt. And then we're able to just kind of roll with the punches and, and educate the community about what's changed. We have an existing book of business, so we'll contact those people. Very important to keep everyone informed. Hey, this is what happened. This is what changed. We think that going with this new plan is going to be best. So it's, it's ever evolving and it's ever changing, both on the life side, on the health side. And our job is to just keep up to date and keep everyone involved so they understand what they're facing.
Yeah, and this is so important because everybody's talking about AI. AI is important. We need to automate. Listen, I grew up in the analog stage where, a Google Calendar, I had pendaflexes from, 0 to 31 and January through December. It was all manually driven. So now we have this automation. We could do so much more. But here's the important piece of what you said with that automation. So people are like, well, I could go online and I could go into that algorithm and I could put in and it'll spit out my choices and I'm just going to pick the cheapest one. Is penny wise, dollar foolish, but is that the best option? So we do need people. And I work with banks and credit unions across the country, Jay, and I hear all the time, well, now they have the teller machines, they're automated, right? And I say, well, but okay, so that being a teller, transactional, is becoming obsolete. Okay, make yourself relevant to the industry. Money is complex. You just said it. Laws are constantly changing. Tax burdens are changing. Business acumen is changing. We need bankers for lending. We need bankers for mortgages, right? We need insurance people like you. Everything, even though it's simplified, and I'm doing that in air quotes for my Apple listeners, right? It's simplified because of the AI and we could get these quotes automatically. We need help. We need advisors. We need guides to decipher all of this complicated information. Cheapest isn't always the best. And you said that you look at the premium, but you look at pre-existing conditions. Does your doctor work within that realm, within that provider, whatever? We need these guides. And I get frustrated sometimes when people think, oh, I could just go online and figure it out. You can, but what are you missing? There's so many blind spots if that's not your zone of genius. This is your zone of genius. And the way you're speaking about it, you're customizing solutions, right? Based on all of that intel you're getting. And then you customize it for the client in front of you. You are a needed resource. Did that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you, I'll give you an example myself. One of my friends is a travel agent, and I thought I was going to Dubai in November. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go online. I'm going to book a flight. I'm going to go book my hotels and everything's going to be great. And I'm very happy that I talked to him. He was able to find me, a better airline than I was going to book. My experience was enhanced by probably 3 times because I went with him. He figured out the logistics for me. He got me in some Q suites on Qatar Airlines, which is probably one of the best airlines I've ever been on. And the service was amazing. He got it for me on my points. I wouldn't even know to book it on my points. I would have just booked it cash. So, and now I understand, like next time, even if it's not him, I'm definitely finding a travel agent when I want to travel somewhere instead of just thinking that I'm going to go online and book it. So I think all of us are a victim of that. We all think that, we don't need, an expert in the field, but I got to taste of my own medicine.
That's again, perspective, but now you've had that experience and you thought this could have been a disaster had I not used someone who is in this industry. This is what they do for a living. So I think we discount ourselves, Jay, because we think, well, can't everybody do that? No, everybody can't do what we do, right? Because that's our zone of genius. That's what we're meant to do. And that's why we're on this earth, I think, to serve, right? At that higher level, because you've been able to double down and grow your skills in this, specific type of industry. You mentioned
Mark Cuban says it all the time. Selling is helping, right? So, you're helping people. That's what it is. So, all day long, we're taking people's situations and, everything is case by case basis. But a lot of these cases we see all day, every day. So we're pretty used to it. But, we're helping these people in different situations every day.
Yeah. And sometimes dire situations. So it's really, I always say being in sales is like the best job we can have because we get to help. Fill in the blank with whatever your industry is. So as long as you're coming from this place of help and curiosity and love and care and all those things, the money comes exponentially. So we don't have to chase the dollars. We have to chase, right, that our expertise, constantly honing and growing our expertise. And your focus, man. It's all about the focus. I want to step back. You mentioned about you reach out to your customers on a fairly regular basis, the follow-up, right? To me, that's where the magic happens with the follow-up. Can you elaborate on why that customer retention in insurance, but really, Jay, I think in all industries, especially if you're a sales representative, whatever that industry is, that follow-up, that consistency touching your clients creates new opportunities and usually some passive income because it's an easy lift because they know, like, and trust you already. Give us some practicality or practical applications that you've used that just really work for that customer retention component?
We just customer touch points. So after the fact, so selling somebody is just half the job, right?
Amen.
Now servicing them, keeping them on the books, upselling, potentially just helping them with anything else that they need is the next part of it, right? So what we do is, once someone's sold within 24 to 48 hours, we'll give them a welcome call. Make sure that they, receive their emails from their carriers. With life insurance, for example, they have a draft date. So if we sign them up today, their draft date is until the next month. So we'll give them a call before the draft date. We'll give them a call after the draft date. Make sure that, the money came out of the correct account and they, that they're actually active.
Yeah.
We'll make sure that, whatever it is that they need. So, we'll follow up with, for example, with health insurance. Once they're active, we'll help them book their doctor's appointment. We'll help them fill their prescription. We know that once they use the plan, they're comfortable with it, it worked for them, that they're going to pretty much throw it in their drawer and not look at it again until they need to use it. So, we hit them with, AI. We use AI in every part of our business, from lead generation to servicing the, book of business. So we'll hit them with, even just drip campaigns with text messages. Hey, did you know about this? We'll give them a lot of did you knows about the bells and whistles in their plan. And then once we, a lot of times that, like you said, kind of creates different opportunities. People know, they keep us in mind. They'll give us a call. Hey, do you have anything for dental? Do you have any dental coverage? Do you have any vision coverage? Do you have anything for telemedicine? The telemedicine part of this plan didn't work very well. Do you have telemedicine? Yes, we do. So we have these other products that we can, we call them ancillary products that we're able to upsell them when they need something. So they know that we're their one-stop shop for any kind of health insurance, life insurance needs that they have. And we'll remind them via text message, via email. We'll send them handwritten cards on their birthdays and handwritten cards on specific, occasions. And so we stay in their face at all times, and they just know that they can reach out to us for anything. And if for whatever reason, if the conversation kind of goes, rogue, we can actually, we give them a call when it's time to renew and say, hey, so we have you on this Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. Looks like this has been working great for you. Is there anything that you would like to see change? We'll work with them and figure out if there's anything that we need to adjust.
And here's the thing, life changes, Jay, right? You've seen that. I've seen that. Life can change overnight. Need I say COVID? The whole world stopped. Hello. So life is in constant flux. So what I signed up this year for, my life might be completely different next year. My needs might be completely different if I had a baby or I got married or my kids are now on their own insurance, whatever it is. So there's these ebbs and flows in life. We need people in our corner that we can respond or reach out to, not respond to, but reach out to say, hey, I have this situation. So here's why what you just said is so critical. And I want to make sure everybody heard it, that those follow-up, those little touches, those cards, the text message, don't forget your draft is coming. Those little reminders, it makes you relevant, but it also makes you user-friendly, that they think, oh my gosh, this guy really cares about me, right? It's automated, but the soul is in the automation because you do care. Otherwise, you wouldn't have set this stuff up in the first place. The other thing that's important, as you have these clients, we want to maintain, right, from year to year and have the clients stay with us and not jump ship. So that's the importance of follow up as well. Additionally, though, if I have a good experience with you and now I have a friend who's running into a similar situation or is having trouble with their agent, I'm like, oh my God, you got to call, not you got to call my agent, Jay. No, it's like, got to call my friend, Jay and his team, right? All of a sudden we become their friend, their advisor, their partner, other positive words that are used because we've earned that right and that privilege to be called such. And it takes time. And the follow-up is where it really, really happens. The leads are coming in. But if we're constantly chasing the new and not honoring those that we have, we're leaving so much money on the table. And oh, by the way, working way too hard. We have to create that passive income flow, but we have to earn it to be able to create that level of constant flow of new business coming in. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And in the insurance business and any business, referrals are going to be way stickier than the new business. So it's definitely more important to focus on your existing book. I mean, you got to do it equally, but more often than not, new entrepreneurs, new salespeople, they're worried about the new sales versus servicing the ones they already have.
Yeah. And I want to share really, this happened many, many years ago. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but I had a sales manager when I was selling insurance. He shouldn't have been managing, by the way, Jay, that bad. He would just yell at me in the car. It was horrifying. But anyway, I had come back from one of my first, I went out alone and I met with this young couple and they had kids and the husband was a blue collar worker and very concerned. She was a stay-at-home mom. If God forbid something happened, they would lose the house. What would the mom and the children do? So after talking to them, right, because I'm good at asking questions, I realized they did not have the budget to pay for the life insurance. They might have forfeited the food. What are we doing? So I said, all right, let's pause. Give me all your bills. Let's look at your income. Let's figure out a budget that you can live with, come up with the premium, right? Let's kind of carve that out, put the money in the bank for the next couple of months so that when we do put the insurance in place, you'll be able to keep it and not throw a couple of $100 away 6 months later. And now you don't have insurance and you threw this money away. So I did that. I went back to the office, my salesman, you idiot, you moron, you didn't make the sale. And I'm like, look, you do you, I do me. This is how I function. Well, fast forward, we were able to do it. I met with them on a regular basis to make sure the budget was working again. And you know what happened? It was one of my first experiences in sales and financial sales. They started referring all their friends to me because I was helping them educate them on money, budget, like you were saying that partner did, but then also understanding and giving them the life insurance. And I did the property and casualty as well. So think about that. I had all this passive income where everybody else was still making their 1,000 calls. I had leads coming in. So 15 appointments for me a week. easy peasy because I was living off of referrals within like a 3 to 4 year period. That's the magic of delivering and over delivering and earning the privilege and respect of our clients. And the magic happens, right? But we have to create those good habits. And it's not just slam bam, thank you, ma'am, right? It's really about engaging with the human and customizing and helping with whatever their financial situation is. So yeah, any last words before we sign off?
I mean, I think the problem to kind of just touch on your point too, I think the problem is there's this visible instant gratification for sales where you get a commission, you get upfront money. There's no real visible path to success that people could see right away on servicing your book of business. You may get referrals, you may not get referrals, your business might be sticky, it may not be sticky. So everyone kind of just chases after what's right in front of them and what's going to bring them that upfront cash. And I think, I made that mistake early on as well. We definitely focused on our sales process way early on and started focusing on our back end and customer service process a little later down the road. So, if anybody could pick up that golden nugget from this conversation, just start early on, start servicing your book pretty immediately. I do have some final thoughts for your listeners here.
Please.
I have a free gift for your listeners. If they go to onecallclosesale.com, this is all spelled out, one word, onecallclosesale.com. They could actually download a free 9-page PDF that I wrote on how to master the art of a one-call close.
I love it.
I think that applies to pretty much every industry. I think, we started in telesales. I started in telesales in like 2004, 2005. But I think once COVID hit, I think a lot of the things that were not telesales based went telesales. So I think that this is going to be able to help a lot of people close on the first call. And every industry is different. Sometimes you need to collect documents and what have you, but this will really help people guide them from, how to open a call all the way to the end. Again, onecallclosesale.com. It's a free PDF. You can just go and download it.
And I have that link to put in the show notes, everyone. The one, Jay, I just want to make sure it's the number one and then call close sale, or is it O-N-E?
O-N-E. So it's all spelled out.
Oh, okay. That's not the link that was sent to me. Okay, I'll make sure I change it.
So you can go to both. Interestingly enough, you can go to both. When I go on, I usually go onto the O-N-E. So you could spell it all out, onecallclosesale.com, or the number one. You could go to either one.
Cool. All right. I will put that in the show notes. Thank you. Can I tell you? And that's what we're talking about. It's just focus. We have to go a mile deep, not a mile wide. And it sounds like the onecallclosesale.com worksheet or PDF will give some insight. So thank you for that. I will definitely put that in the show notes. Guys, if you have questions directly for Jay, email him at Jay. Now I'm going to say it, but it'll be in the show notes because it's complicated spelling, but it's Jay Abdulaziz. Did I say it right? At gmail.com. Yay. And the website is the same, jabdulaziz.com. Both I will put in the show notes, plus the one call close gift. Listen, dude, man, this was good. Thank you so much, Jay, for sharing. I love meeting young people that get it. You get it. And it's not just about getting the appointment and closing that sale. Yes, we want to close the sale, but it's about the deliverable. And really, really, the magic happens on the back end of the sale, not just making the sale. Now you have to show up and deliver. That's when the work begins, right? After you make the sale, that's when the work begins. So I love that you get that and that you articulated and shared that. I so appreciate having a young voice share what I feel like I'm a broken record, Jay. So I'm loving you, loving your approach. Thank
really
you
enjoyed
again.
this conversation as well. Thanks for having me. And if anybody wants to reach out, you can reach out to me. For anybody that comes through your show, I'll do a free 15-minute consultation with them.
Love it. Thank you. You're an absolute delight. Don't go. I just want to do the close and I want to say a nice goodbye before we hang up for the day. But I hope you guys will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together, no matter where you are on changing your sales game. My guests and I, we get it. We've done it. We've made the mistakes. So learn from us. Take the tips, take the nuggets, as Jay said, and apply them. Information's a beautiful thing if you do nothing with it. It's information in your brain. Let's put it into action, man, because I promise when you put things into action, that's where magic happens in your life, your business, your career. So thank you again, Jay. Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to Changing the Sales Game with me, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.com. I truly wish you an inspired week filled with good change to change your sales game and make life and business a little bit easier. I love you all. I'm honored that you join me weekly, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Have a great one, everybody.